Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the most, kind of okay Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. Joining me today, we have D. Griffin Jones coming in from Ohio. Hey, Griffin.
Good evening. Way to hype up the episode.
I can't do it. I really can't, hype it up. But I just too English. I'm going to have to try though. I'll work on it. I
recommend breakfast gin.
Gin? That's not a bad idea. Actually, I was thinking of smoking some pot, but I don't know if that's a good idea.
Who are you?
And Lewis. Hello, Lewis.
Hey, how's it going? I recommend a real light gin cocktail for breakfast. Not something real heavy like a martini. You want something, not a lot of nice citrus in it.
My breakfast the last few days this week has been a cold chicken leg from a rotisserie chicken, a banana, and a small chocolate donut.
Was that three different breakfasts, or was that one
was
breakfast
all the
that you
same
ate every day?
These are not three separate breakfasts. It's all one breakfast.
Oh,
and we call it what you do when you don't really have any breakfast food.
Did you buy two rotisserie chickens or just one?
One rotisserie chicken comes with two legs.
Oh, so it's 2 days this week. Okay.
Yeah.
And you eat it cold?
Yep.
You don't even heat it up?
Oh, it's good cold.
I saw some TikTok video this last week saying that the ones from Costco are all covered in horrible chemicals and you should avoid them like the plague.
Oh, God.
Well, this was Meyer, so I think we're good there.
Everything's a chemical.
Yeah. Well, they heat them up in plastic bags, and so all the plastic leaches from the bag onto the delicious rotisserie chicken, which itself is cooked in a bath of chemicals.
They did screw up the bag. I mean, what was wrong with the way that you used to get a Costco rotisserie chicken? I mean,
what has it changed?
Don't you remember they used to have like these plastic bubbles, basically a tray with a bubble top. Now they just put it in a bag that leaks everywhere. You pick one up, it's like a greased pig contest.
Well, they have to cut every corner they can to keep the chicken at the same price that it's been since 1980. So I imagine the tray just costs like an extra few cents.
Oh God, it's a real bad design flaw.
Well, the tray was always covered in chicken grease, which you had to spend hours cleaning out, right? Before you recycled it, and then it would take up the whole recycle bin, wouldn't it? Because it was so giant.
Yeah. Do you really have to wash them off? They all go in the same pile anyway. They just bury them.
It starts to smell really, really bad after a few days, and especially in our house where it remains for weeks.
You don't leave it in your house.
Well, I know that probably is the problem, but that's the way it is. The way it is. So, getting our kids to do anything is it's a battle. You have to pick your battles. So taking out the recycling, that's something I've got to save for once every couple of weeks. All right, let's get on with the show. So anyway, this week we're going to talk about the return of FineWoven, which is Apple's disastrous faux leather product, which is coming back as TechWoven. So I don't know, is it going to be any better? We'll talk about that. We've got some new details about the iPhone 17e, the budget iPhone, which is going to be coming next spring after the regular handsets launch this fall. And Griffin is going to give us a tour of iOS 26's coolest new feature, which actually does look really cool. And then we have a really bananas multi-display setup to talk about. And then Lewis is going to show us, in our review section, a really snazzy new power brick from Anker. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Insta360. Insta360 is the GoPro competitor, and they're actually really, really good, and I really want one of their cameras. But they've got a new camera out today called the Go Ultra. It's a brand new pocket camera. It's about the size of an Oreo, which is unbelievable. Weighs 53 grams, which is like half the weight of an iPhone, I believe. It's small enough to live in your pocket, but powerful enough to shoot sharp 4K video at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second. It has magnetic mounts, so you can instantly stick it everywhere you want to quickly get the shots you want. And you can go hands-free and immersive POV shots and get an incredible 156 degrees field of view. It'll shoot video for 70 minutes straight on a single charge, but you can quickly top it up with an action pod for over 200 minutes of recording. It's waterproof down to 33 feet. You can get a free bag of sticky tabs, which help you mount the camera anywhere, from winter jackets to backpacks. You just stick them on and then you stick your camera on top of them. So if you buy an Insta360 Go Ultra purchase and use the code CultCast, you'll get a free bag of these free stickers. Go to store.insta360, INSTA360.com, and use the promo code CultCast, And this is available for only the first 30 purchases, only for the first 30 people. So thanks a lot, Insta360, for sponsoring this week's show. Lewis, let's talk about the return of TechWoven. Is it going to be any better this time? What do you think?
Oh, my God. I don't know, man. So what's it called? It's called TechWoven, supposedly the replacement for the FineWoven case that everybody hated. You can remember how great they were. They got scratched up, within minutes when they were put on display in the Apple stores, and Apple quickly removed them. So now they're, in their quest to not have leather cases, which everybody loves, they're supposedly they supposedly come up with something called TechWoven, and this is coming from Majin Buu, leaker of some renown, and he actually has like Apple cases that he's posting online. This looks like a pretty serious actual leak that is real.
Well, yeah, because he's got the retail packaging, the cases themselves. There's even shots of the fabric on the looms, right, or some kind of display.
Mm-hmm. What fabric's on the loom? I must have missed that. I saw the pictures of the cases, and oh my God, that camera display area is just gigantic. The cases themselves, they look very much more textured than the FineWoven was. I mean, to be honest, like Apple always talked about the premium feel of the FineWoven cases, but I don't know if you ever touched one. It almost felt like it would burn your hand. It was so kind of slick and plasticky, and just like the feeling of like a seatbelt, a car seatbelt, rubbing on your neck on a hot day. Oh God, terrible feeling.
You didn't like it, I tell you.
No, I hated it. I mean, I never owned one, so I don't know how they wore or anything else. I mean, I saw pictures about how badly they wore. I saw in the Apple store itself how scratched up and messed up they were. And, I don't know. It didn't look premium at all to me. Supposedly these new ones called TechWoven are going to be more grippy and more practical, right? So designed to A, be more durable, and B, help you hold onto your phone a little better so you're not dropping it all the time, The first round of rumors, there are actually two posts about this. The first one said four matte colors, green, orange, blue, and purple. But on Wednesday, orange got zipped out and they added black and brown. So who knows? 4 colors, 5 colors, 6 colors. We'll see.
It's possible that the orange, the brighter color, would only be on the cheaper phone, and or maybe it would only be on the
Pro.
Yeah, well,
on the Pro, yeah,
the orange
Pro.
Yeah, but the pictures that he showed, the boxes, are all the Pro iPhone 17 Pro case.
Pro
So
Max.
maybe a different. Oh yeah, Pro Max. So maybe the selection of colors will be different on the regular entry level models. So it's possible that, all of the colors are right. Or it's possible that it kind of looks orange, but Apple is calling it brown, and maybe they're actually not too different.
Brown?
At all,
Is this a Zune?
Yeah.
Who's going to buy brown?
Look at that. It's got, once again, I have severe trepidation about this supposed orange, iPhone 17 Pro that we keep hearing about. It's it just, every picture I see, it seems like they're going to lean into burnt umber. Remember that color? Crayola? They probably don't make that anymore, but that was one of my least favorite crayons.
I mean, hey, I don't plan on buying an iPhone 17, but if Apple came out with a brown case, I would absolutely buy it. I love the color. I love brown. It's one of my favorite colors.
Jeez, what a weirdo.
You said it. Brown.
Yeah.
Do you remember the brown Zune?
Yeah,
The Zune
absolutely.
came out?
I remember your post at Wired talking about how great it was.
Well, it was a great device, but the color was horrible. It looked like a TURD. I mean, that's what it reminds you of. It's just, the association cannot be shaken. It's the color of poo.
But there was just that brief moment in time where brown was a hip color, right? I mean, actually, the accordion band actually printed up some brown T-shirts right at that time. It was like, brown is the new black.
When was this? Like 2006?
Yeah, it was around the Zune era. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but when I don't think these look very premium. They don't look premium at all. They look like the sort of kind of cheap cases that you buy on Amazon for like, $12.
These TechWoven cases you're talking about now.
Yeah, the new
Yeah.
TechWoven cases. Like you said, it has that kind of, it looks like a seatbelt texture.
It looks like the weave on them is a little larger than the FineWoven. Like the FineWoven was very tight, like small weave with like tiny little threads, almost like the iOS 6 linen. But these seem to have like a much more texture to them.
Coarse
in
woven.
a way. Yeah, coarse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I never thought the FineWoven cases like felt that bad or cheap. I mean, the plastic edge around the rim kind of didn't have very good feel to it, but like the actual weave itself on the back, I thought felt fine. It didn't hold up very well, but I'm not sure how like having an even larger weave or texture on it would make it more reliable. It feels like that would make it more susceptible to being, torn because it sticks out more. There's more to like catch on a fingernail or a, scratchy piece of metal or a table or something like that. But my mind is open. I think this could be nice.
It looks more resilient to me. And I think part of what Apple was trying to do with FineWoven is try to make it almost feel like suede or something, and suede will do that if you run your finger on it, you leave a line or whatever. They're just trying to replace leather for, green reasons or vegan reasons or whatever. I mean, I still like a nice leather case. Although, I don't know if you guys ever tried, Mujo makes something called a maze case. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, we did a review of it.
Yeah, we ran a review a while back. And you know what? I've tried that versus the leather case. Honestly, like kind of impossible to tell the difference. They're different colors, but the way they feel seems different. Although I got to say, in my completely unscientific testing, the vegan one, which I think is made of corn, which is why they call it the maze case, it didn't hold up quite as well as the leather. I started to have like areas where, my hand would hold the phone, the covering would start to come off of it, whereas the leather case just gets a nice patina as it ages. Nothing like a nice leather case, I swear. Although, now I'm using the Apple silicone, so.
OtterBox had like a cactus leather case that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was really nice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's all these different ways that people make faux leather cases. I don't know why Apple doesn't just make a faux leather case. If what they hate is using leather, and they know that people like leather cases, why don't they,
Pleather?
Yeah.
A pleather case?
Yeah, why don't they just do it? I mean, other people are doing it. Mujo's doing it. Who'd you say OtterBox made the one with the cactus case? Mm-hmm. So...
Well, Apple's limited themselves. They can't just switch away from leather and do something. They can't just do anything else. They need to do something that would still, potentially have a supply chain that could meet their Apple 2030 environmental goals of like, they can't switch to something that'll also, need to be switched away from in a couple of years because they need something that has a potential to have like a, a net zero supply chain attached to it.
Are these things made,
right.
these are made from like recycled bottles or something, right?
Yeah. It's I think 80%, pretty high, 78, 80% recycled material. I think that's the whole point, is that they want to make it from recycled materials, and which is why they're not making it from maize or cactus, right? Because you can't presumably you can't recycle that stuff. So I think the whole idea here is to make it from recycled materials, which I think is pretty laudable. The whole idea of a closed supply chain. You make new products out of old products.
Yeah, and you're turning rotisserie chicken boxes into iPhone cases.
Yeah, right. With that greasy chicken smell. I think it's a laudable idea. Whether it's going to come off, it remains to be seen. Well, and actually, were the FineWoven really that bad? It was Joanna Stern from the Wall Street Journal. She made a really memorable. She was the one who put the nail in the coffin. I think with a very, very memorable. She said that it was all scratched up. It was fraying at the edges, and it discolored like a rotting banana.
Right.
Which I think that really does. There's no getting away from that. But I don't know if it was really that bad. Was it? Were they really, really that bad?
Every time I've seen one in an Apple store, like there are scratches all over it.
But that was the whole point, right? It was like it was supposed to get that beautiful patina.
It's not a patina though. That's a problem. It looked like garbage. I mean, I'm talking about being there on the day that I picked up my iPhone 16 or whatever, or 15. I guess this was iPhone 15 time, right? And I walked over to the FineWoven because I'd heard rumors, right? And I look at it, it's like, holy crap! It's like 10 in the morning on launch day, and it's got scratches on it, and you just run your finger on it. It's like unsightly. And again, the feeling to me was not premium. The feeling was ick.
Well, all right. So I don't know. I don't think the prospects look very good for TechWoven. I don't. But and this is like Apple. One of it's kind of surprising, isn't it? Because Apple doesn't really make missteps. They're so careful. They test everything so thoroughly. It seems kind of mad that this got released without without it being fully baked. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't have many. I'm using a silicone case too. Which actually is starting to fray finally after about a year, but it's held up pretty well. Quite like the silicone.
It's got a good feel, and plus it's very grippy. Doesn't slide off the kitchen counter.
Yeah, and it's protective too. It's actually really held up. All right, let's move on. The iPhone 17e. I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, your picture, Griffin, on our post we did for this story of the 16e. Oh my God! Is there a nicer looking phone from the back?
I genuinely think it's maybe the nicest looking iPhone since probably the 5S. It is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, especially like hold one in your hand. I mean, you can kind of get that in the Apple Store, but then it still has like that metal like puck or whatever attached to a wire on it. Like holding an iPhone 16e is like genuinely like fantastic. But apparently they're making a new one just a year later, and the iPhone 17e, like they're going to be refreshing these things on an annual cycle now. The iPhone 17e will feature a, quote, smart island design, which is probably just a mistranslation to Apple's dynamic island interface that replaces the notch on higher-end models, according to Weibo leaker Digital Chat Station. The leaker, citing supply chain sources, claimed the device will undergo significant design changes beyond just the screen cutout. Specific details about the new industrial design aren't provided, but the changes are described as departures from the current iPhone 16e aesthetic.
They're going to ruin it, in other words.
Possibly. The 17e is expected to maintain a 6.1-inch OLED display, the same panel used in the iPhone 16. So I think the rumor is the iPhone 17 will be getting like the slightly larger 6.3-inch display, and then the iPhone 17e will get the old display that's currently shipping in it. The screen will retain the 60 hertz refresh rate that helps keep costs down for budget-conscious consumers. Under the hood, the 17e will likely support the same A19 chip, lining up with the rest of the iPhone 17 lineup, and multiple sources have suggested it's still on track for the spring 26 launch. All good news, mostly. I think the one thing that everybody was, crossing their fingers for is, yeah, they're changing the design. Does that mean it'll have MagSafe? No mention of that in this story, sadly. Which is really the one thing really wrong with it. It doesn't have MagSafe. I mean, they're solving the other problem, which is it doesn't have the dynamic island. But come on, MagSafe. How much could it cost?
I just can't imagine not having a phone without MagSafe at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not the cost. Isn't it? It's a key feature you've got to trade up for, right? So if you want MagSafe, you've got to pay more. Because I think the teardown showed that there was no internal components that would have interfered with it. Like there was no reason why they shouldn't add it. It's just a very thin ring of magnets. But in fact, funny enough, you can always add these though. I've got them right here. They're stick-on MagSafe rings, which will turn any device into a MagSafe device.
Yeah, or you could add a case that has MagSafe built into it. Like there are cases that have the pass-through magnets on it. They make those for the iPhone 16e. You can get a case like that, and then you have MagSafe again. And most people put their phones just in a case. It's weird that they don't have it because I mean you look at it, it's so thin. It doesn't add like significant thickness to it either.
Right, but isn't that But there you go. Like if you buy a MagSafe case from Apple, they're going to get your extra $50. Which instead of adding it onto the handset itself.
Well, the problem is Apple's cases for the iPhone 16e don't have MagSafe, so you can't really buy into that conspiracy.
Okay, all right. Well, forget that then. Yeah. Just edit that out, Griffin, will you please?
Oh my God!
I saw a picture of one of the white 16es in a creamy or a white silicone case, and that really looked gorgeous. It was really nice. Mm-hmm. In fact, I might get one of those. I'm not going. Yeah. The iPhone 17, I'm not going to get Pro model anymore. I'm going to get the the cheapo 17E.
You're gonna wait out an iPhone launch?
Yes,
Wow.
just perversely, just so I can get the cheapest phone possible. It's player, I really like the low end products Apple puts out. Like I was playing around with the iPad, the entry level iPad. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous device. Unbelievable for the price. You can get those for $250.
But it doesn't have Apple Intelligence. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. No, that's actually a selling point, though, isn't it?
Features.
Oh, but you won't get the camera control.
Oh, what a disappointment.
I've actually started using that finally after a year. Train myself to use it. But I keep, every now and again, you hit the controls and you get lost in that awful. Instead of taking a picture, you get lost in all the controls, which is like horrible because then I can never figure out how to get out of them again.
You have to double half click. It's intuitive and easy.
Yeah, really intuitive, really intuitive. But I never use the action button. Do you use the action button?
I do use the action button because I set up a. I should probably do like a whole segment on this, but I set up a custom action for it. When I'm holding my phone vertically and I click the action button, it asks me to add something to my shopping list, and I use that all the time because I always think to myself, "Oh, I should add that to my shopping list," and I literally never do. But now I just have a button I can press. But
cool.
When I'm holding my phone horizontally, it does something different. It toggles orientation lock. You want to watch a video and it doesn't rotate. You hit the action button, suddenly it rotates. Or the other way, you turn it and you don't want it to rotate. You hit the button and then it rotates again, or like it turns on the lock. It's great.
You should definitely do a segment on that, because that's totally handy. I need that as well.
And then I also have a third conditional on it that's I don't really recommend for anybody else. It's kind of just specific to my use case, but it detects when my phone is in light mode. I normally use my phone in dark mode, but when my phone is in light mode, it's because I'm taking screenshots for an article. And a problem that I often have is, you want to know what the official name is for a button that doesn't have a label on it. And you can figure that out if you enable the feature called voiceover. So I hit the action button when my phone is in light mode and it toggles voiceover so that I can, tap a button and it'll see like more, or, this button is called select. And then I know, okay, that's what it's called.
Wow, that's a very specific use case.
Yes.
I don't think anyone's going to want to do that, but
I've got an assignment for you, Griffin.
Yeah.
Can you do this? I want it so I like to use the translate button on the action, or translate function on the action button. I want a shortcut. Takes your GPS location so it knows where you're at and it picks the right language there. Because when you're traveling all over the world, landing here, going there, stopping there, it's you're in Italy and you press it and it's in German and you're just like, oh dang, you got to remember to go back in and change it. It just ought to happen naturally. You think you can do that?
I don't know if that. Well, the thing is, like Apple, when you assign the action button to do the translate feature, it has that super nice user interface. As far as I know, that's a custom thing that isn't available for a shortcut to do.
Dang.
And I also don't know if there's a shortcut action that picks your current country, but I can look into that. Anyways, let's move on. We are well off topic here. iPhone 17e. It's going to be a good phone. Maybe it'll have MagSafe, but maybe it probably won't.
Action button.
Yeah.
Well, so we have another rumor to talk about, which is the Touch ID coming to Apple Watch. This has come from some leaked code that revealed plans for Apple's upcoming devices. So in this leaked code, apparently it said that it indicated that Apple's going to update the Apple TV 4K, the iPad Mini, and the iPad with faster chips for Apple Intelligence support. So Apple Intelligence is going to be coming to those devices. It also plans to use its in-house wireless chips on the iPhone 17 Air and the M5 MacBook Air. So in-house wireless chips, very exciting. Mm-hmm. The same internal code leaks points to Apple experimenting with adding Touch ID to support the 2026 Apple Watch. This is seen by Macworld. It mentions supports for, quote, Apple Mesa, the internal code name for Touch ID. So it's difficult to ascertain from the code how much Apple will integrate biometric information into its 2026 smartwatch, but it could possibly embed the sensor into the side button, which sounds fantastic. That sounds like a great idea. However, given the space constraints, the company may have to slim down the sensor significantly. And there was a rumor back in 2020 that Apple was going to put the Touch ID right under display as it works on some Android phones. 2020. Anyway, yeah. So this is an old one. So the same internal code hints that the 2026 Apple Watch is going to be using a new CPU architecture that could lead to a notable jump in performance and efficiency. So I think the Touch ID is a great idea, although it's hard. It's not really like a big deal to unlock your phone your watch right now, is it, with the code, or with your iPhone? Your iPhone will automatically unlock it, won't it? So I never, this seems to be a little bit of a problem in search of a solution.
It's kind of annoying when you have to type in your passcode on the Apple Watch just because the numbers are so tiny. Like if you're ever in the solution where you do want to unlock it on the watch and you don't want to wait for it to automatically unlock with your phone, like typing in the passcode is kind of annoying. I can maybe see this being like an Apple Watch Ultra exclusive feature because that's the only device where they really have the room for it. Like they don't really have a problem where, they don't have enough surface area because the iPad Air has the Touch ID built into the power button, and that's just as small. I think the problem is the depth. Like I don't know how big the Touch ID button is, but like they really don't have a lot of room in the Apple Watch for the button to protrude more like into the inside more than it does already. Because right now it's just a simple button that doesn't do anything. Like that takes up the least amount of space that it can possibly take up. Adding a Touch ID sensor to it, unless they have the button stick out, which would be ugly. They're kind of limited on space there. But I can see this.
Are you talking about adding another button,
or just adding Touch ID, replacing the side button with a Touch ID sensor, which is, I think, maybe the most logical way for them to do it. I don't know if they have room on the regular tiny Apple Watch, but
well, you don't think the digital crown travels enough for it to enable for them to put?
I imagine this being in the side button, not the digital crown, like the long button.
I see.
The lower button.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have started with that, but
that no one ever.
Yeah, the Apple Pay button. That's how I think about it. And you remember that it invokes Control Center after you do it the wrong way first.
Yeah, I only ever use it when I hit it accidentally, like the action button as well. Well, I mean, you don't even. It can't. Are there any? Does the Apple Watch ask you for authentication when it does, payments and stuff like that? It doesn't use any kind of authentication, right? So
no, because it already assumes it's unlocked because it's sitting on your wrist after you type in the passcode in the morning.
Right. So I don't know. Does a Touch ID make any sense on the Apple Watch really, aside from making it easier to unlock initially when you put it on? I can't think of any other use cases for it really that would make it, really useful.
Yeah, maybe if it had like an extra layer of authentication, they could just make it more secure, and maybe that would enable them to have more smart features that we're not imagining right now. But I mean, it would be kind of nice at not having to type in like a 6-digit code on those tiny little buttons.
Wouldn't you rather have Face ID?
I can't imagine that working very well on the Apple Watch. I'll be honest.
I don't know. Yeah. Hold it up here like that, scan it around.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, not very exciting. I want to see, glucose monitoring. That's what I'm really waiting for.
Well, I think that might be another 8 years out, and they still need to find more things to make the Apple Watch exciting before then.
Yeah, if ever.
You're not excited, Lewis? Does that interest you at all? Am I the only person who's excited by this?
Blood glucose?
Or no, Touch ID on the Apple Watch.
Touch ID. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it seems cool. I don't particularly like tapping in a little. I only have a 4-digit code, which is oh my god, not safe enough, right? And the other thing that this does is it stops somebody from seeing you typing in your code, right? I mean, that's one of the things that is not good. It's funny. I envisioned it being in the digital crown too, but side button maybe makes more sense. It's more shaped like the one on the iPad, right? Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't? I mean, aside from it taking up time and money and everything else, and making us not get blood glucose monitoring or blood pressure monitoring. I mean, it seems like it would be a fine to have addition. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah, but no one's going to go out and buy a new Apple Watch just for the Touch ID.
Yeah, it's got Touch ID. No.
You keep an Apple Watch until it breaks, and then you just buy whatever the new one is.
Well, does it work for you anyway? I mean, I have Touch ID sensor on an old iPad Air, and it just doesn't work. I mean, after you set it, I probably should set it up for multiple fingers and, with the same finger, multiple times, multiple instances. But I have dry skin on my hands, and so it tends to break down. It doesn't work on my keyboard either. I've got a Touch ID sensor on my keyboard that tends not to last very long, and it's just too annoying to keep adding, resetting the thing and keep adding and re-adding the fingerprints all the time. I've never had much luck with Touch ID. In fact, I kind of hate it.
Wow.
It's really annoying because of my horrible flaky dry skin. It's never really worked ever properly for me.
Sounds like you could get away with a few crimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't know this about Leander, but he's actually an international super spy. He gets his fingerprints and everything, sanded off and re-waxed. Like, what was it, weekly now? Or?
Well, all right, let's move on. We're going to talk about iOS 26's best new feature, which is Spatial Scenes.
So this is a feature where you can hit a button and convert one of your pictures, and it'll do a cool little 3D scan. And you can sort of look at a 3D picture even on a 2D screen. So I have a few examples here. This is a picture of my dog I took a few years ago. You hit this hexagonal button in the upper right corner, and then you can just move it around.
Oh, wow.
And look at the perspective. This is a great example because, you've got a subject in the foreground, a big clear, blurry background. I think I used portrait mode for this, but it even sort of tries to figure out some of the contours of my dog's face. So you see,
it's adding information there, isn't it? I mean, it's This is almost what this looks like is Blade Runner, that incredible scene in Blade Runner when he's zooming into that photograph, which is completely impossible because it was a 2D picture. But it's actually adding information there, isn't it? Because in the original, it's the dog's ear is occluded.
Yes,
but here
when you wiggle it around, you can see his you move his nose to the side, and you can see the ear behind it. Like you can see a little bit of the foliage behind him that you wouldn't normally be able to see. And that's how it's able to shift the perspective, get that parallax effect. So This is a good example of what's different about this, because Apple does have a very similarly named feature called Spatial Photos, which is when you take a 3D picture on a Vision Pro or on an iPhone. And what that does is it has, the picture has much more depth to it than this, but because it's a fixed perspective, you can't see behind anything. And so a spatial photo just looks like a normal photo when you're on an iPhone because it can't simulate any perspective. It has no way to show it. A spatial scene, which is, what I'm showing here, is where it tries to fill in little edges around the background so that you can wiggle it around like that. I have a few other example pictures here. Here's one of Craig Federighi, and you can see it's got a lot of perspective there. In this picture of Craig Federighi on a stage, he's giving a talk, and he has his hands up in front of him, kind of at shoulder level. And you can see as I move the photo around, it's giving different layers of perspective for his hands versus even the contours of his hair versus the background behind him. And you can really, if you really pay attention to the background, you can see, there are some words on the stage behind him and it hasn't really filled those in very well. There's a grid line on the stage behind him and it, kind of muddles that up a little bit, but you're not supposed to be looking at the details. You're supposed to be looking at wow, I can move it around and it moves.
Yeah. In the foreground. Yeah. It's just like those. What were those goggles we used to have as kids? The slideshows,
the Viewmaster
3D goggles. Yeah, the Viewmaster's back. Got any dinosaur pictures?
I haven't photographed any. Oh, I have close. I have a picture of some buffalo. I think this is a picture that I haven't yet converted to a spatial scene, so you'll see what it looks like when you do it on a new photo. You just tap the little hexagon button in the upper right corner. It's really small. It's right under the three dots menu. You tap it, it'll do a little multicolored wave, and then you can see its perspective again. And sometimes if you get a good landscape shot like this where the camera's really close to the ground, it'll even do perspective on the flat plane of ground in front of you as it's done here. So that really sells you have more foreground to play with. Sometimes if you have a big sweeping landscape background, it does kind of look like, a cardboard cutout effect. There's some hills and sky in the background, but you wiggle your phone around, the clouds would not be moving in perfect sync with the ground, So you can play with this as much as you want in the Photos app. But the real special thing is when you do it as a lock screen. So you set up a photo shuffle lock screen, and just like a regular photo shuffle, as it always has been since iOS 16, you can pick different categories. It'll intelligently choose photos for you. You can switch how frequently it grabs new photos. You have a new option when you're setting up a photo shuffle lock screen. You have the same hexagon button. You tap it, and it'll generate spatial scenes of all of your wallpapers. And you can tap through them. Here's some rolling hills of houses in Italy.
It looks like an earthquake.
Yeah.
Well, so you just tap it once and it does it for all of them.
Yeah. It'll generate them in the background. It's generated a preview of 10 or so of them, and then before your iPhone switches your wallpaper for you, it'll generate the next spatial scene. Here's a kind of terrible shot that I took on a bridge in Chicago. I don't know why it thinks this is a good picture. It's pretty blurry, but
that's a great lock screen picture.
Yeah. Some Chicago skyline there, the Grand Canyon. You have some foliage in the foreground, and you can see the canyon wiggle around in the background. This is also a great way to see the liquid glass clock, which is a new effect on the iOS 26, because you can. And
if you get a really good 3D scene, it occludes the clock, doesn't it? And that's a really striking effect.
Yeah. Or this building, I don't remember where I took this. It's a really striking red church or something, and as you wiggle it around, you can see the glass of the clock occluded. And
look at those power lines, though; they're disappearing.
It's good when you have both a dramatic perspective that you can show, like a cityscapes, shots of nature.
What happens to the original photograph?
The original photo is still there. You can turn it back off again, and then it'll just be a static shot.
It doesn't create a duplicate or anything like that. It's like a dynamic effect that you can turn on and off.
Yeah. The thing is, when you have a normal flat photo, a wallpaper has to be really tall and skinny, and the clock covers the upper 40% of the image. So on most normal photos, when you're just setting a normal photo lock screen, you have the ability to sort of uncrop it, and your phone will intelligently blur the top of the screen and automatically fill in to make sure the subject of the photo is below the clock. But you can't do that with a spatial scene, which is a somewhat frustrating limit if you want to have a spatial scene of your partner or your kids or a dog or something like that. It needs to have a lot of headroom above the subject of the photo. But it's really great with the photo shuffle, because then you just get to try it over and over again. I haven't gotten to the end of these yet. Ooh, that's one of the Sears Tower.
Look at that liquid glass effect there. Yeah.
Spatial scenes. It's a pretty cool feature. I think it's maybe after you get bored of the liquid glass thing for a week or two, this is another feature that you can use to wow people. So it's pretty cool. I don't use a photo as my wallpaper, but for the people who do, this is going to be a pretty exciting feature.
All right, nice one. Yeah, that's a great little tool there.
We don't yet have an article about this feature on Cult and Mac because our website is slightly broken at the moment and we can't embed GIFs. But there you go. It coming soon, and you've gotten a little guided tour. Check it out when you update your phone.
That's right. So, and like Griffin says, we've already got a how-to on this, and as soon as we figure out how to get GIFs to display, we'll be publishing it. Mm-hmm. This has been an ongoing problem for about several years, but we're going to figure it out sooner or later. All right, let's move on to the setups segment of the show, where we talk about a featured setup. This week we did something different. We rounded up some of the best multi-display setups that we featured over the years on the site, and there's some really bonkers one in here. There was I think it was 15 of the best setups, and some of them are really crazy. I mean, some people have a lot of screens in their Mac setups, and this one we're going to talk about today. We've got a picture here. I'll just to give you a picture of what it pictures. It's got how many? 8 displays.
8 displays. All of them I think are 27 inches. 3 iMacs, a PC, and 5 Dell 27-inch 4K monitors arranged on kind of like an L-shaped desk in a pretty crowded room, actually.
Good Lord.
And they're stacked up on top of each other, so it's one on top of each other, 8 of them. Mm-hmm. Why does anyone need 8 monitors? What is he doing?
One of the displays he is using just to show a single picture of a like an anime scene or something like that. So
Looks like Two-Face or something.
oh yeah, not using all of these screens to great effect. It seems a lot of them are just only showing two things side by side with acres of white space. Although he's in dark mode, so gray space. He has Spotify open on two separate machines. I don't know if he's listening to two albums at the same time or not.
Well, there are two keyboards and mice, so
he has four computers, but only two keyboards and two pointing devices.
yeah,
which raises some questions.
This is nutty. Wow.
It totally is. But he also has how many? 3 CalDigit 4K docks in order to run this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He is apparently a production worker on documentary films in LA. So I can imagine, maybe if he's in the middle of his work, he's using a lot of those screens, one for, pulling in clips, one for the timeline, reference monitors, stuff like that. I can imagine how, a professional video editor might be using a lot of these, but he's not shown us his work here for understandable reasons.
Right. Too bad.
What perplexed me is, aside from the fact that, 4 computers, 2 keyboards, 2 mice, if you're putting this much money into a setup, he's stuck with a basic Apple keyboard from 20 years ago and not even a very good one. He's got that awful Apple keyboard with like the acrylic base that looks cool. I think it debuted with the G4 Cube, but it types awful. It's like typing on a sponge. It is maybe the worst Apple keyboard they have
ever made.
Other than the butterfly ones, which like literally do not work.
I had one of those and I spilled coffee all over it, and it also collected a lot of crumbs, sandwich crumbs. I turned it over. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
And any dust that accumulates in this keyboard, you can see because the base is completely clear and acrylic. His are actually in pretty good shape. I don't know why he's preserved them so well, because they type like absolute mush.
Yeah, they look brand new.
So
why would
it's a personal preference? The keyboard. Some people like them. Aren't those the ones that have like they got really? You can feel the springs.
Well, these have the little. Didn't they have the little rubbery membranes, the little half spheres?
Yeah.
I think this one. You could pop off the keys pretty easily. It was fairly easy to pop the keys on and off, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think you could put those. I put one of these through the dishwasher. I'm pretty sure, and it worked fine.
Sheesh.
to get all that crumb out. The crumbs.
You're kidding me?
No, I think it worked great. I think it was absolutely fine. You just let it dry for a couple of days, and it works great.
It threw me off when I first looked at this picture because I thought, well, this is like an interior room with what looks like a window on the back wall that opens up to another room in the interior. Until I realized, no, that's actually a mirror. But he has like this giant mirror that's completely obscured by these 4 monitors that just shows him like the back of them. I don't know what that could be for.
Sheesh.
Because then I realized it was a mirror when I saw, oh, well, you can see a reflection of the same desk in the other in it.
It looks like he's in one of those rooms with a 2-way mirror, like people on the other side can stare at the back of the monitors.
Maybe that's why he has a wall of monitors, because people were staring at him and he wanted to cover it up.
Yeah, more than likely. And he's got some nice underlighting. A lot of the monitors on monitor risers, and there's some kind of lighting to underneath, right? Some under monitor lighting, casting light on the desk.
Yeah.
On the
I don't know. What do you think out of 10? What would you rate this?
I would not enjoy this setup. Too many computers. 25% at least 25% of them are running Windows. So that's out of 8 monitors. It's a pretty bad hit rate. It looks like maybe he actually has Windows running on one of the iMacs. I mean, it's an Intel iMac. One or more of the Macs has the Windows taskbar on it. So additional thumbs down there.
Yeah.
Too much Windows in the setup and too many monitors.
Yeah, it's making my eyes hurt. But anyway, there are some interesting setups. There were some other really fun ones in this roundup. I mean, there's some crazy setups that we featured over the years. And this one that we published last week, which we put in the show notes, was all about the multi-monitor space. We have another one with dual monitors, which we're going to be featuring in the newsletter today. Dual monitors is much more reasonable. I've like in my own personal monitor journey, I've gone. At one time firmly believed that the more monitors, the better. Mm-hmm. And down in the basement, when I set my computers up there, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 monitors. And I found out I only used 2 of them. The other 2 were kind of just sort of sitting there. So now I've gone back to 1, and it's actually totally fine. I've gone the other way.
Well, he has dual monitor setups. He just has 4 dual monitor setups in the same room.
Yeah, right. The same desk.
Some of these are amazing. They look really cool because they all have the same screensaver or something. That really is an impressive effect. It's not the case in this particular one, but
you mean in the other setup?
In the Roundup, yeah. I mean, it's when people do that, it really brings it all together.
Right. Let's talk about reader question this week. We have a question from somebody called Melgrose, right, Griffin, left on YouTube?
Yes, this was a question about the Apple desktop robot, which was a big topic on last week's show. A question about the robot is, will it be easier to use it or do it yourself? If it comes out, I might buy it just because it'll likely be expensive and few will buy it. So it'll be a collector's item, and we know how much Apple products go for after some time. Could be worth a lot for my daughter. So he's questioning whether a robot will be worth the money spent, or whether it'll be easier to, instead of asking your questions to this thing, just do it yourself.
I think it will be. I think this is going to be a huge hit, enormous. I think this is going to be a really significant product. Because last week when we were talking about it, we were questioning, why does this thing have Face ID? Why? And in fact, we never made the connection between the 2 stories. Which we were talking about the robot, and then we were talking about Apple's move into home security devices, like especially a lock with Face ID. And obviously, the robot is going to display the video from the Face ID doorbell. This is, someone rings the doorbell, it's going to come up. The video feed is going to come up on the robot to show you who's waiting at the door, and we were also wondering why these cameras would have Face ID in them. Why would it need to recognize somebody? There was a story that broke last week talking about Apple working on a new operating system for these devices, and they're going to be highly personalized. They'll be unlike the iPad at the moment, which is a single user device. They're going to be multi-user devices, and it needs a way to recognize who it's talking to. It'll bring up, if it recognizes you or your wife. If it's your wife talking to it, it'll have her playlists, her calendar, to be able to talk about her appointments and stuff like that, and it'll switch if it's going to talk to somebody, if it realizes it's talking to somebody else. And then I was thinking, I remember years ago when I was at Wired doing stories about early Roombas. When the Roomba came out, people really fell in love with their Roombas. I did a story about people who were in love with their Roombas because it becomes like a pet, and Sony Aibo dogs as well. Remember the robot dogs that Sony came out with years and years ago. People really do fall in love with these devices, and if it has this personality that we talked about last week, I think people will fall in love with their little robots, especially if it has that kind of Pixar Junior playful personality, non-threatening, very trustworthy, and I think. I think they could sell a lot of these, and keep it in the box. Don't open it up. Keep it shrink wrapped. 50 years, if you last that long, it might be worth something.
And I guess going back to the basic question of utility, will it be easier to try shouting your instructions to a thing across the room than it will be to just use your phone and do it yourself? I mean, no, it'll never be easier. But the point is that the home robot thing in the kitchen is something that you can use while you're doing something else. It's a thing you can shout instructions to when you're otherwise not using your phone or, hands free. You're in the middle of doing dishes. Oh, you get a FaceTime call. Yeah, sure. Accept it. And then it'll make sure that your face is in frame. And, it's a hands free way to use a computer. And it's a dedicated machine for that. You don't have to get your phone out of your pocket and get, soap all over it or, try to get it to change music tracks. It could be more convenient in a number of ways in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it in a kitchen, like throughout all this, I've been thinking about it on a, coffee table or something in the dining room. But in a kitchen, it makes a lot of sense. It just exactly for the reason you're talking about. Your hands are, dirty. You're stirring a, thing of pasta or something. it would be handy if it actually worked properly and you could do all these things. I mean, I have got like because we have a Google Nest doorbell, right? And so there's a little, I can't even remember the name of the product, some Google thing. And so when the doorbell rings, eventually the image comes up on the screen. So if Apple could do it, it's all lightning fast. Somebody walks up to your door, you look in and say, oh, and you could tell it, hey, unlock the front door and let my dinner guest in. I'm too busy in the middle of cooking something. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. In the kitchen, it makes a lot of sense. I still don't get it. Like, I guess part of the problems I think about my own house layout, right? But like imagine if you had a downstairs den or something, right? And you're sitting down there watching TV or playing games or working out or something, and it could be super handy in different locations in your house.
Well, so I was wondering, you could have it in the kitchen, one in the living room for doing FaceTime calls, putting stuff on the big TV.
One in all three rooms, and then spend $3,000.
Right.
Yeah, right. Maybe this is why they're exploring a robot on wheels or something that would like trundle around the house.
This is a product clearly designed for rich people who have open concept floor plans on the ground floor. You only need one in the middle,
I think, I'm pretty excited about this. Like a whole new operating system to make the smart home finally smart with Matter support. It'll probably support all sorts of peripherals from other people or other manufacturers. My house is like, we've only got a few automations. I've got some really old smart light bulbs, which I don't think the company's even in business anymore. So you can't even really control them. So but that's about it. But, not very, very many automations. You have a lot more devices, don't you, Lewis?
It's mostly lights and locks and things. But yeah, and some smart plugs that function as lights in unfinished basement.
Yeah, I've got the smart plugs too. In fact, my mom uses she's got a smart plug. She puts it to better use than I do. Turning her lights on and off and just barking commands and stuff like that. I use it mostly for energy tracking because our energy bills are like completely unbelievable, and we couldn't figure out like where's it coming from? What's drawing all this power? So I put a few around the house. Unfortunately, I still didn't figure it out, so I have no idea.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
They can't crack the PG&E code.
Yeah. There's something here. There's some kind of phantom energy sucker in the house hidden away.
It's just PG&E charging you more money.
It could well be. Well, on the bill they give you a breakdown, like on how you compare to other houses, and we're way off the charts.
Really?
Like much higher than all of our neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like what's it called, an entry sensor on a door downstairs. So I open the back door into my basement and the lights come on. I mean, that's super handy. That kind of stuff is great.
Is that I have one of those, but it's a motion sensor light switch. It was actually fairly cheap. I think it was like $20-$30. The motion sensor is actually built into the switch itself. I think this could be an exciting product, and this is going to be coming out next spring, isn't it? The rumors are
whenever they have new Siri out, so 2038.
I thought the idea was that it was going to be the iPad on the wall first, and then the robot arm comes later.
Okay. Next year though, or the year after?
I think the iPad one was supposed to come next year. Was supposed to come earlier this year. I mean, it's supposed to come next year when they get their smart Siri act together, and then. And then I don't know. I think the robot arm is like 2027 is the latest rumor. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure.
Too bad. I was looking forward to that.
Your little robot pet.
Yeah, I think it was going to be fantastic. Like if they give it that personality and make it friendly and it could play games with the kids, and
they could make it like a Tamagotchi. You have to like go and interact with it every day, or it just dies.
I come home and it's like. It's got crosses for eyes,
so
and it's
sad.
like
I don't get any attention.
Face down.
they need a mode where it keeps your cat engaged, like a cat game on it to keep them from.
That would be very useful.
Knocking stuff off the counters.
You could maybe there'd be third-party apps. That could be like a good idea for a third-party app.
So, anyways, if you like to leave a comment, you can hit the link in the show notes or leave the comment on the video on YouTube. I will just say we're not getting a lot of questions, so if you leave any question, it'll probably be on next week's show.
Jeez. Oh my God, that's a little pathetic.
leave us your questions.
Yeah. And okay, so now we're going to go our review section. We're going to review a new product from Anker, a Maggo battery, which Lewis has been playing around with. Take it away,
Yeah, I mean,
Lewis.
I literally got this in the mail like a day or so ago, so I haven't had a ton of time to deal with it. But it's called the. I sigh because the only problem I have with Anker products is the names. They're so generic and they include many of the same terms as other ones. This one is called the Anker Nano Power Bank, and then in parentheses 5K Maggo Slim. That doesn't really roll off the tongue. Anyway, what it is a super thin iPhone MagSafe charger. I don't know if you can see. And of course, I'm using my phone. I realized after we started this, I'm using my phone for my camera, so I can't really show it on the back of the phone.
Well, I can show it on the back of my phone because they
there
sent
we
me
go.
the same one. They actually sent me two, so I can.
They sent me one, and it got stuck in customs for at least a week.
They sent me black and white, so you've got both colors here.
Cool.
I think the idea is that this is a really slim battery pack. So if you're hypothetically like interested in the iPhone 17 Air and you still want a pretty slim battery, but you do want, a full day of battery life, this is a pretty thin way to get, a full day of charge. Unlike other Apple products or like other MagSafe products that are sized to the dimensions of an iPhone mini, this is actually like, it's thin, but it's wide enough that it covers a regular Pro phone, a regular size or, presumably the regular iPhone 16 size. So it fills the entire back. So it's much like wider than Apple's MagSafe battery, but it's much thinner. Like it's still very comfortable to hold in the hand.
Can you hold it up again? See, it looks like, is it thinner than the iPhone itself or about the same?
I think it's a little thinner than the iPhone itself. But it's still thin enough that on a Pro phone, I don't have very big hands. It's thin enough that my hand still wraps all the way around both sides. So it doesn't add a lot of depth to it. And it does feel pretty nice in the hand as well.
Yeah, honestly, I've tried a bunch of different MagSafe chargers in my life, and they're almost always bulky, super, they're deep. They make your phone hard to put in and out of your pocket, This thing, it feels unbelievably thin. It almost feels like it's not there. It weighs, I think, like 3 ounces. It's a little over a 1/4 inch thick. It actually does feel good on the phone. It's kind of shocking. It's not that much. I don't know if it protrudes much more than the stupid camera bump.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't need a battery pack that can give you like 3 days out in the wilderness. Like sometimes you just need, a day at Disney, and you just need like an extra 60% or so.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I like I said, not scientific testing here, but I slapped on the back of my phone yesterday, as a matter of fact, at 35%. It was up to 70 in an hour and 20 minutes. This is not using the phone. And it got up to 80%, like an hour and 45 minutes. And one of the things that Anker talks about with this thing is that it's not as hot as your average phone or MagSafe battery, right? And I actually measured the temperature in the middle of this charging. It was less than 100 degrees. It was warm to the touch, but less than 100. I have another one that I take on trips or used to take on trips. I'm going to replace it with this. And man, sometimes that thing would... I would almost burn my finger on it. It would get so hot. It's like, geez, man, some of these things really heat up, and that's not very pleasant. This one's pretty great. Let's see. Going from 35% to 85%, that basically almost used up the entire charge. So it's really, I'd say it probably doubles the life of your iPhone 16 Pro is what I was using it on. Probably. I'm not 100% sure. Again, haven't had that much time to deal with it, but it doesn't, one of the things I don't like about it is it doesn't, I'm kind of getting spoiled with some of these things. It doesn't show you the exact percentage of the battery pack. It just has, the sort of standard four lights, right? So, it's fine. Sometimes it's nice to be able to look at it and see, not just a blinking battery, is it 50 or is it 69, that kind of thing. But, USB-C, of course, because everything is now. Super sleek design, not hot. Very, very handy. I could totally see taking this, slapping it on the back of the phone if you're like going to be out all day long. I mean, my phone, if I'm actually out using, my phone, especially on vacation or something like that, or anywhere where I'm out like actively using the phone for any significant period of time, my phone will always be dead by the end of the day, or down to the oh my god 20% where I'm just terrified it is going to go dead. This would be a great way, if you're going to be out all day, a great way to keep your phone actually alive and not like making it turn into this hulking thing.
And it's not just MagSafe, it's Qi too. So hypothetically, it'll work with that new Pixel 10 as well.
No, right.
That's Qi 2.
Qi 2 is MagSafe.
Yeah. One thing I don't like about it, though, is it's got quite a lot of, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it has quite a lot of like regulatory like symbols and legal text on the outer rim of the battery itself.
Jeez, I couldn't even see that, man.
It's a lot. Like the entire upper edge of it and the entire side of it is just like covered in symbols and text.
Oh my God, it's like hieroglyphs.
Yeah. And it's like, well, why don't they just put it on the MagSafe side that sticks onto your phone so you don't see it? Like if they have to print them on there. But It really is quite a lot of symbols. Like some symbols that I've never even seen before. It's like all over it.
Airplane on there. That must be like a new thing that says, hey, you can take this on an airplane. Yeah. I've never even seen that symbol ever before in my life.
Mm-hmm. It's and
I certainly can't read it
because it has every statistic printed on the side of it. I can tell you it has 3,000 milliamp hour capacity. So it's hard to see, but if you can see it, it's just kind of annoying because it's like covered in text. But
yeah, I've never. It's bizarre. I mean, I honestly didn't notice that, and it's now I can't unsee it, and I want it now. I want to go get a magnifying glass and stare at it and see what all it says on there.
I want to get like acetone and rub it all off, but I mean, the nice thing is it has a USB-C port on the bottom. So if you have an old iPhone that has MagSafe but doesn't have USB-C, I mean, stick this on the back, and you don't have to use your Lightning port. You can charge your iPhone effectively with USB-C because it'll charge through
it. So Anker, they point out it's 15 watts MagSafe. But, I think that's as fast as it goes for wireless. 104 degrees Fahrenheit is what they say is the maximum temperature, where they say the industry standard is 118.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Comes in black and white. There's also two other colors on their website that are like blanked out. I don't know if it's coming later, looks like a blue and a pink. Who knows? They don't appear to be available just yet. I think this thing just came out like in the last week or so. Oh, actually, pre-order ships in September.
Oh,
so it's not even available. But you can go to their website. They're $54.99 right now.
That's actually a good price.
It's not a bad price. Not a bad price.
I see a little thing that says get 20% off. I'm sure you'd like to go ahead and click that little button. Anyway, I was actually like, oh my God, I requested a review unit of a phone charger. What am I going to say? But slapping it on, and after recently having used other ones that were much bulkier, I was like, wow, this thing is very slender and very good. Feels very good in the hand. So,
and of course, Anker makes really nice products, so you can, it's not going to burst into flames.
Yeah, I mean, it says on the package, it says dual NTC cooling system. Who knew?
All right, very nice. Right, good job there. Thanks very much. I think that about wraps it up. That's all the CultCast we have for you this week. I'm Leander Caney, and
what's your name again?
Yeah, I almost got it wrong. It's I try to do it out of order for some reason. I don't know why. I should stick to the order. It's Lewis. If you want to, the fun continues all week on the socials, and if you want to follow Lewis is on Twitter at Lewis Wallace. Griffin's on Mastodon and Blue Sky at dgriffinjones, and I write every day on the Cultimat Today newsletter, which is at newsletters.cultimat.com. So like we said earlier, send us a text or leave us a comment on YouTube to get your questions.
Ask us a question.
Please do. Yeah, like Griffin said, if anyone leaves us a question, it's probably going to be featured on next week's show. So definitely do that. This has been the CultCast, the best hour-long Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. The shows come out every Thursday night, and I want to thank you all guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.
It'll all come out of the edit.
All right, that was horrible. Okay, yeah, good. That was horrible. absolutely horrible. Getting worse week by week instead of better.
It's always a roll of the dice whether this is going to be like, oh yeah, we just blazed through the show, barely any edits, or yeah, I'm going to have a lot to clean up on this one, and I think this one might be the latter.